My dear friends, today we begin the fourth week of Advent as we draw ever so close to Christmas. The primary focus of this week is on love, the great love that is shown by God by sending His only begotten Son to live among us and teach us that God is love. In the first reading taken from Isaiah, we have King Ahaz being given the messianic prophecy of the birth of a son to a young woman. However, to fully appreciate the significance of this prophecy, we need to go a little deeper into the history and circumstances under which this prophecy is made. King Ahaz, who is the ruler of the southern kingdom of Judah, is facing a life or death situation. The neighboring kingdoms of Judah, which are the northern kingdom of Israel and Syria, have formed a coalition to rebel against the mighty power Assyria. They now want Judah to join their coalition. When King Ahaz refuses, Israel and Syria join their forces to attack Judah. In this crisis, Yahweh sends Isaiah to Ahaz with the message that he has to trust God alone. However, Ahaz already has a plan. He is going to seek protection from the Assyrian king, Tiglath-Pileser. It is at this juncture that Isaiah tells Ahaz that despite his refusal to ask for a sign, God is going to give him one anyway. The young woman shall bear a son and shall name him Immanuel, which means God is with us. At this juncture, it is important to understand the role of a prophet in ancient Israel. Prophets had the responsibility to give God's message to the people. They were not fortune tellers who would predict the future. Therefore, though we see this prophecy in the Gospel being connected by Matthew with the Virgin Mary giving birth to Jesus the Messiah, Isaiah is most likely referring to God saving the kingdom of Judah through Hezekiah, the son of Ahaz, who would be born to one of his young wives. Through Hezekiah, the dynasty would survive. In the Gospel taken from Matthew, we have the infancy narrative from the perspective of Saint Joseph. While we generally talk about Mary's obedience, this Gospel tells us about Joseph's obedience. According to the custom of the day, there were two stages for the couple to get married. First is the betrothal or a marriage contract, typically arranged by the parents, that could be broken only by death or divorce. That was followed by a second step, sometimes a year later, often including a marriage feast, after which the groom took his wife to his home. The Gospel narrative is set between these two stages in the life of Joseph and Mary. The first step had already taken place. The second is now under threat. For Mary, the Jewish law ensured death by stoning. The angel intervenes, telling Joseph in a dream to go ahead with the second step of the marriage custom. He is to name the child Jesus, which means Yahweh is salvation or Yahweh saves. The child born to Mary will save his people from their sins. In the second reading taken from St. Paul's letter to the Romans, Paul tells these Christians that he is called to be an apostle and that they too are called to belong to Jesus Christ and to be holy. Paul explains that the gospel was promised beforehand in the scriptures about God's Son. Paul is called to be an apostle set apart for the gospel or the good news of God. The readings of today highlight the importance of obedience to God's voice in one's life. Do we, like King Ahaz, trust worldly powers more than God's power? We are called to emulate Joseph, who obeyed the voice of God even when things were not clear for him. Joseph and Mary are models for us to be faithful servants of God. Many a time we have our entire life planned out, and when God shows us a better plan, we are too scared to give up our plans. God showed His love for us by sending His only Son Jesus. How are we responding to God's love? I pray that as we approach Christmas, our capacity to love each other may continue to grow and we may become more attuned to God's voice in our life. May God bless us all.